Hello and welcome back to the Indie Film Screening YouTube show. My name is Jerome Lee Brown.
And I'm Stephon J. Davis.
And today we're going to take a look at a film that we've been hearing about called The Thing That Stalks the Field.
Guess we didn't hear that much about it. We're going to talk about, the thing that's not...
Well, this is our screen that comes up and they send stuff to us. So you too can send something to us so we can take a look at it.
Absolutely. I know some of our names really long, like Jerome Lee Brown, Stephon J. Davis. It's like, man, just get to the movie already. Yeah, say all these long names.
Well, the names don't mean much. It's the film that actually talks for us. So
yeah, and that film again is The Thing That Stalks the Fields. So if you want to check that out, it's actually right here on YouTube available for you. And we're going to have a few clips we're going to show as well.
Yes.
And as you said, send in your clips because we love to show your films as well. We show anything independent. If it's an indie film, no matter how big the budget or how small the budget, we've seen some pretty small budget films, I'd say.
Yeah,
I've been a part of some of them really tiny shoestring budget films. And they're rough sometimes, right? They're
rough ain't the word.
But it's hard out here, you know. When you don't have a big crew working with you, and you one-man band, you run around, you the producer, the director, you acted in it, you the cinematographer, you know, you the boom person.
Sometimes just that one person in the whole film doing that.
Yeah, you do it all, you know.
Yeah, so, you know.
AD, best boy grip, all that stuff. Yeah, so I've been that's been me sometimes, you know. I was but hey.
But the whole key of making an independent film doesn't really matter, I should say, how good you make it, how great it is, or how much money you put into it. Just as long as you do your best in making a film, because you may be starting off, which is fine, and you may be doing this for a number of years, which is fine. But the key thing is, when you're making a film, give it your best and make sure you understand what you're doing and how you're filming it. If you don't have a budget, that really doesn't mean too much.
You lost me there for a minute. I said, it don't matter how it looks, it don't matter how bad it is. I'm thinking like, wait a second.
Well, if you're starting off.
But like you said, do your best.
If you're starting off. Because you're not going to make the best film.
Yeah, you can't be Spielberg out there,
you can't,
Scorsese. Yeah.
But if you've been making films for 10, 15 years and you've done your 50th film and you've gotten awards and so forth, you better have some idea of what you're doing. You better have a pretty darn good film.
Yeah, I think if you have that progression, though, it's all about getting better and better as you do things. You might not be the best yet, Oscars and all that under your belt, but as long as each time you do a new project, it gets better and better. That's all you can ask for sometimes.
Yeah, and like I said, if you got a film you just made, you want to get some opinions on it and find out how it is, and if it's really worth being thrown back into the woods again, or keep it and put it on your shelf, whatever the case may be, send it to us, and we'll be happy to take a look at it and give you our views and opinions on it, and let everyone else take a look at it.
Absolutely. So speaking of reviews,
yes,
we have The Thing That Stalks the Fields.
The Thing That Stalks the Fields. Yes.
This is a horror. It's a short horror, about 20 minutes.
Yes.
And it's pretty creepy, kind of, sorta, I would say. I had some mixed feelings about it, but I think it was really well done. I mean, it was definitely, the production value was there for sure. There was a lot of technical aspects to it that I really enjoyed.
I agree. Yes, he took a lot of time to put the crew together. You can tell by the titles or the names of the people at the end of the film. Location was a key thing here for the film.
You can always tell that. You can go to the end of the movie first and look at the credits, and if it's like 3 people or it's the same person that just keep repeating over and over again, it's probably not that great of a film.
You got one guy with one name and he's listed 15 different things.
He did everything. That's probably not going to be the best.
That means he didn't have much of a crew. But that doesn't mean he was a bad film, though. So.
But the chance of it is probably it's not an Oscar-winning film more than likely.
Well, let me ask you. Let's start with you first. Okay. What did you think about the actual film from the beginning when you first saw the opening of it?
It opened up nice. I thought, sometimes I'm worried because sometimes these movies come out so slow and they drag along. I watched another film that was just like dragging and dragging and dragging. Like, get to it. What's going to happen here? But that one, pacing was really nice. So I thought the pacing, they did a good job. They kind of opened up everything. They let you really explore the surroundings, really that establishing shot and things, kind of seeing what he had going on. Yeah. And a little bit of foreshadowing too, actually, to make it so it's not too dry. I like the way they had his shirt, a little bloody and things. So you're like, what's going on with that? So a little that foreshadowing aspect to it. You see the farm, you see the cows. You're like, okay, I understand where I'm at and what I'm seeing here. Yeah. So I think it started off really, really nice there.
I agree with you on that. When I first saw the film, I saw there was something going on. Something happened, I should say. Oh my goodness, what happened here? But he did. I don't want to give any, scenes away, but this is not a big giveaway. But there was some blood on his shirt. and he was sitting there kind of puzzled about what was going on, what happened. So with all that being said, it gave me the impression that something happened, and he's trying to figure out what's going on.
What that could be.
Yeah. And then as the film went on, it explained to you what took place.
I thought he could have used a six-pack, though. I thought if you don't have your shirt off and be
that's in the next.
That's
the part 2 of the film. Now, what I thought a good thing about the film, along with what you just said, the shot of the farm and everything was all great in the film. The location was really great because they didn't go too many different places. Everything was shot in one location. Which is lowered the budget on.
That's what I've learned over the years. Writing scripts and you got 5,000 locations and you're running all around the city and beyond the city, really trying to make all these different shots and film things. Then I realized, you know what? You can make a really great movie in one location. Really, maybe one, two locations. I mean,
and this is exactly what they did. They made a really great film on one location. Now, with all that being said and done, what was the film about? And how do you think the film should have been portrayed as the film progressive? Now, in my opinion, I thought the whole film was basically about something took place. He didn't know what it was, and as you get deeper and deeper into it, I was still getting confused what was going on. What helped make this film better than what it was, and I use that very loosely, the narration of the film
was excellent.
I think he did a great job on explaining what was going on, because in the film, this is not a giveaway, but in the film, he narrates what's going on step by step. And the reason he does that is because, should we say?
Well, there's two reasons, really. One, like you say, it'll be extremely dry, boring, and confusing if you didn't have the narration going on. And then two, his dad had left him the house, and his dad had a journal, and he was just reading his dad's journal as the narration unfolded.
That part I wasn't sure I wanted to say now, because I didn't want to.
Well, that's part of the plot.
Yeah, that's part of the plot. So we'll let that go. Yeah, his father did leave him a book, a journal that he found. I assume.
Yeah, he found it in the house.
And he was reading the journal. And this is where everything opens up until it explains why the blood's on his shirt and everything. I got the impression they started from the end, from the beginning, when he opens up with the film with blood on his shirt, explaining to you he's got blood on his shirt. Then that's where the part starts. Not explain to you how he got blood, just boom, opens up, there's blood on the shirt, and then the narration kicks in, then they're going to go backwards, explain to you what happened. That's what I got from the film.
I feel like that for the most part too, except I would maybe think almost like that middle towards the end part, because they had, after a certain person got attacked by a certain thing that was stalking in the fields.
Not quite a stalker, but
then he was kind of bloody at that point, though, So I'm thinking maybe even picking up from that shot there, possibly. But nonetheless, like you say, it was like an end and then come back to the beginning and go back forward.
Which was pretty.
I wanted to come off subject for a second because
go ahead.
When you were talking about one location, it made me think about the movie Don't Breathe, which I don't know if that's an independent movie, though.
I saw that film. That was pretty good.
I saw it.
Yeah, that was in one location.
But that's why I'm thinking about it, because it was the same thing, just one location, but really well done, really well executed. And if it was an independent movie, we could review it here possibly, but I don't know if it was independent.
It wasn't independent, but on a Hollywood budget.
But that's okay though, as long as it's independent. There's no actual studio backing it.
It was a $2 million budget.
Yeah, and that's
compared
fine.
to this guy here, probably a couple $100 budget.
$1,000, maybe. I would say they probably had a few grand.
Maybe a couple thousand is in there somewhere.
And some sponsorships and things, and some grants I saw at the end. And they had some people that gave them some nice equipment and stuff.
All right.
Yeah, makes a big difference. I mean, it's
what did you think about the actual cinematography of it? We talked about that, but your input on that, because you do a lot of cinematography stuff yourself.
I thought it was well done. There were certain shots I really enjoyed. This particular shot when he was in the grass, kind of laying there, had the shotgun in the background, almost like a red background of the sun and things like that behind him. But that looked really great. So overall, there was fly shots were pretty cool. Lots of close-ups from the flies there.
Now, I have an eye for just the scenery itself, just what's going on around the environment, and also the camera work and so forth, and the special effects and everything else. There wasn't too much special effects in this film, really not too much, except for the main special effect, which we will get into that. We will be as kind, as polite as we could. But I thought they used very little lighting, which they use a lot of the actual lighting from the environment area. But the acting was good. I can't complain too much about the acting. And everything else about the film was pretty decent. But I have a problem with this film. My problem, after saying everything good about it, and I'm not saying anything negative or bad, but my problem with the film was some areas dragged a little too long, in my opinion. This is a horror film, and I thought for 22 or 20 minutes of the horror film, a lot of that scenes could have been cut out and just get to the main reasons why what's going on in the film. I understand for 22 minutes of the film they had to stuff it with a lot of stuff to to keep the film interesting. I understand that, but like you mentioned about the fly, there's a lot of shots of the flies, sitting on the screen, a lot of shots of the shoes, walking around walking around on the floor, shut close up. But those are all just fillings. I understand that. That's my number one problem with the film. My second problem with the film was. It just spent too much time talking about nothing that didn't make any sense that needed to be done that pertained to film. Like the old lady.
Did you know your father?
Well, I never met him.
Where did she come in? You'll see that, but
I think she came in just to try to explain more about what's going on with the movie.
She didn't do a very good job of that. No, she didn't do a very good job. I was even more knocking on the door. Get the damn door already, lady.
Yeah, might well use a shotgun on her. You running around the whole movie with a shotgun you never used. I don't know if you have anything to add about those things before I go into the actual special effects of the film, but the special effects of the main reason why this film was made, I thought it could have been done better, a heck of a lot better than what they portrayed it to, what they delivered on. Yeah, they might have dropped the ball on that fact of that special effect, and it's hard because budgets, the budget is tough. Yeah. But I think what you can do sometimes it's more creepy and scary is when you don't show what it is. Exactly. This thing that's stalking the field, you never know what it is. You don't even see it, and sometimes that can be just as scary. So I think that's what they maybe should have did this time, because what they did show and reveal was it was.
And I will agree with you on it. You're right. That's the first time I thought about that until you mentioned it. They would have been better off just using camera motion, camera action, and unfocus of the lens and so forth to give you the illusion, and then come back with a part 2 later down the road, maybe, and to maybe get a better idea of what they want to do with the film and better budget, and also perfect their special effect image that they really poorly dropped the ball on. But overall, on this particular film, I thought it could have been done a lot better on a lot of different areas. But the special effect of this thing creeping around,
one thing I'll give them though, the sound was excellent though. Like you mentioned, the narrator, he did a great job, but also just the overall sound of the film. You could tell they really invested a lot of money and time and effort into getting that sound just right. Soundtrack wise, there was some pretty good sound going through it, suspenseful music. I've heard better sometimes in some other low budget horror movies, but I like what they did though overall though with the sound, even with the creepy music and things.
The script was great. Great actors,
good story,
great actress. Sure. The screenplay was wonderful. The pick of scenery what they wanted to use was excellent. There's just a few of those little small things that just irritate me about this film, only because they build it up so much, and then when you actually come and see what the thing was, I was irritated. Oh man, I wasted 22 minutes of my time waiting for this thing, and it didn't show it that often. It just a quick clips.
It was also seen trying to jumpstart the car, I guess, or something. I don't know what it was doing. Whatever it was doing to the car.
I thought it was repairing the car. It was tearing things out of it. It was up, had the hood up, was tearing things out of it.
My job sucks.
As we turn this film apart and giving away ideas of what's going on in the film.
Like, is it the alternator? Is it the starter? The battery?
No, it wasn't Bigfoot. No, throw that out the way. You can throw that away. No, it wasn't a Loch Ness monster or anything like that. But the thing needed to be a little bit more planned out for it to be on film, and I don't think they made it there yet. So, as we can see it right now, so we'll block that scenery out. I shouldn't even done that, because as soon as my hand went to the screen, it was gone.
But I guess this was based off a book too, though. I believe it was.
Was it? I didn't get to that part yet. Also, was it based off of a book he wrote, or the book?
It was somebody else wrote the book, and then they made the movie based off of the book.
Oh, so they did a movie after the book they saw. Okay.
Yeah.
I think if Hollywood was to get a hold of it and do it, of course, naturally it would be a lot better. Obviously, it looked like something that could be done into a big blockbuster feature film.
Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the movie that came out some years ago, The Sign.
Signs.
The Signs, is that what called? The Signs?
I think it was called Signs.
Remember that?
With, was it Mel Gibson or somebody?
Yeah, Mel Gibson and Phoenix, somebody, his last name was.
Yeah,
but I'm not very good on that. But that's what it reminded me of. Out in the farmland area.
Yeah, that's true.
And something was going on. It was on the farmland. They all had guns and weapons looking for it. And that's along that line. That's what it reminded me of.
There was a guy, a gun, farm area,
and a young lady who came on.
And the other guy that came by, he's like, whoa.
So it was along that line, but not so much on the same activity of what was going on. So. Anything else you have to say about this film?
No, I would say check it out because it's a nice little piece there. Like I say, 22 minutes of your time. I think you would enjoy it overall.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuggets in there. A lot of great things they did with the film. Like you said, the actors did a great job and things. It was really well put together. Just like I said, special effects maybe could be improved, but besides that,
definitely,
there's always little things that we could always improve with film as filmmakers. So at the end of the day. It wasn't perfect, but what film is perfect? You can always pull out little things. But I think overall, I'd give it a solid like B plus maybe even as a film.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this film if that's a B on the report card?
1 to 10. As an independent film with a certain budget, or just like overall for all movies, no matter how big the budget.
After looking at this film, what scale would you give this between 1 and 10? With 1 being the worst and 10 being the greatest.
But compared to all movies, or just compared to like smaller budget independent movies?
I didn't even get that down.
Okay, from 1 to 10.
First of all, I wouldn't even compare this to big budget films.
But some people might though. Which is unfortunate for all of us independent filmmakers. That you have to be compared to Michael Bay's Transformers running around.
Let's just lower the scale. That's a little too high scale for you. Between 1 and 5. 1 and 5, what would you rate this film? I'll tell you what I would rate this film. Between 1 and 5, I would probably give this film about a 3. Only because the reason why it's not getting a 5 is because of the special effect that they dropped the ball on, and it rambled off too much for me. For an independent film, for a low budget independent film, I'll let you have that one. For a low budget independent film, between 1 and 5, I would give this film about a 3.
About a 3? I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I would say they win a lot on the production side of things, but then they lose a little bit on the pacing towards the middle and the end and things. Like the pacing started out, like I said, it was okay. The pacing they brought the film in pretty nicely, but then before you know it, techno malfunction there.
Okay, what was that?
Hey, buddy, get the light. Hey, what are you doing over there? We got 10 people just standing around.
yeah, you guys get back to work.
Come on, get this out of lights falling down. This is a serious production here we got going on, damn it. Get your heads in the game. Jeez.
How you want to handle that?
They're all fired. We can do this ourselves. So what would I rate it? From 1 to 5, I would give it, if I was cruel, I'd give it like a 2.7. If I was being lenient, kind of generous, maybe like a 3.5 maybe. Yeah, I think 3.5 is actually not bad. I would give him that. Yeah.
All right, well, that's the end of our segment for this particular scene. For the next time you want to come and watch our indie film screening, just check us out on Facebook and drop your information off to us, and we'd be more than happy to take a look at it and add it onto our next show.
Yep, facebook.com/indie film screenings. Check out this video. We got more coming out on YouTube. Like the page and all that kind of good stuff, and subscribe to it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Take care.